Elevate TV, advancing kingdom lifestyle.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to an amazing conversation this evening. This is the Gigi Report, and I'm so excited that we are back here live from the Elevate TV studios, and I have some very exciting guests on the set, and we're going to have an amazing conversation. Today we are talking to the Gen Z. We are talking about the Gen Z revolution. Or is it actually a revolution, the battle for good governance? And I'm going to be introducing the subject matter. I'll give a quick commentary. Then after that, I will introduce our guests, and then we get the conversation underway. I believe you're going to enjoy this conversation. I know you noticed that there are a bit of delay. We had some bit of technical details, technical challenges at the beginning, but we are live, we are ready, and the guests are here, they are set. This is going to be an amazing conversation. So remember, we are live on the Elevate TV Kenya Facebook page and YouTube channel. So those of you that are engaging on the social media platforms, remember to share, remember to subscribe, get your friends watching. Those of you who are watching on TV, there is a number on the screen. You can send us a text and participate, ask this my guest questions, and let's get this conversation underway. All right, so right about now, let me just introduce my guests very quickly. Just ask them, just give you their names. Right on my far left is my friend. He's been on this on a similar show before, Munene Githira. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, and I'm happy to be here.
Wonderful.
Yes.
And right in the middle here is a gentleman, Marvin Thuo. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, sir.
Wonderful. And right next to me here is Magadaline Mwangi. Welcome to the show.
Asante sana. Pleasure to be here.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay, great stuff. Now, we have an amazing conversation here. So I want to begin by just saying, is Kenya at the cusp of a revolution? The current debate on the financial bill 2024 has prompted one of Kenya's most intense conversation ever. The charge has been driven by the Gen Z social media revolutionaries who have attracted both enemy and friendly fire. What do they want? What is wrong with the paying due taxes? How did we get to where we are? Where is the movement headed? And if there is a movement at all. So the Gigi Report, like I always say, is a platform for big, bold, and honest conversation on the broad range of the subject matters, social, cultural, economic, political, philosophical, theological. Today we are having a social, cultural, economic conversation here, and I believe you're going to enjoy the conversation. Very briefly, my guests, they have just given us their names. Mr. Munene Githira is the CEO of ORAC Branding, and he's a governance advocate, and he'll be telling us more about what he's doing. While Marvin, right here in the middle, is a businessman and a youth leader at PCA Embakasi. He is also a podcaster, and he will probably tell us a little bit more about that. And right next to me here is Magadaline. Magadaline Mwangi is an advocate of the High Court of Kenya, and she works as an intern with TIPS UK. That's an organization which she'll be telling us about. And she holds an MA in corruption and governance from the University of Sussex. She graduated early this year, and she's very excited. She's very ready to engage Kenyans, and she's already founded an organization called an anti-corruption movement called Titus 212 Movement. This is exciting. These are the Gen Zs. We've been talking about them. They are right here. So I want them to set the house on fire here and let them tell us what they want. So I can see they're already smiling. Mr. Munene, I think we'll begin with you. We had a conversation earlier today, and you told me you want a forum. You're planning a press conference somewhere in the coming week. So I said, no, you don't need to wait for the press conference. I can bring you on the set. So very briefly tell us about yourself and how you got to where you are, kind of a brief of your profile, very, very briefly, and we just go right one after the other. And then after that, now we'll dive into the rest of the conversation. So welcome.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Pastor Gigi. And I'm really excited to be here for this conversation. And a point of correction, right now the company I lead is called People Brands.
Okay.
Not the other name.
All right. That's all right.
So my brief background is, I started out as a young man. I'm still young. I'm wondering where my years are going. But you start from a place in life. For example, I was born in Isili, Section 3. That's where I was brought up for 22 years. And the kind of life you are exposed to, you have to survive, you have to be smarter than the other people. You really have to pray that God keeps you from the things that might lead you astray. And so from there you get into college. From there you start hustling kidogo kidogo, and then from there God starts to lift you up, starts to expose you to leadership training, governance training, and then from there you get to the practicality of it. You start leading a fellowship, you start leading a business forum, and so on. And so from that exposure, you get to understand how leadership and governance works. You are able to be in spaces where it's the governance is terrible, even from that small space. And then you're in spaces where the governance is really awesome, even at that small space. And then now, of course, you keep on growing. You keep on, and as you keep on growing, that's where now you get to start being involved with matters to do with government, matters to do with the, what the nation is experiencing, and then you get to see the gaps, the very many gaps in leadership and governance.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I'll hold you there. So that's an overview of your journey.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Marvin, Thuo, tell us briefly, were you also born in Isli or where? Might be helpful.
No, somewhat close because actually I was born in Pumwani.
Okay.
Hospital.
Yeah, all right.
Then we shifted to Car West. So that's where my journey started.
Right.
So actually I can remember I started doing business from a while back. Back in primary school, growing up, high school is when I actually started doing real business.
Okay.
Selling stuff in school, everything. So it has been a journey, campus beer. So it has been a journey for me doing business. But I knew I'll do something in business, but I never knew which line exactly I would join. But as you get old and you learn things in business, it's like, so this thing suits me well. Because mostly I'm into creativity and arts.
Okay.
So that's what I do basically on a daily basis. But mostly nowadays I brand more on labels, cosmetic labels and everything. So basically that's my line and niche. But it has been a journey. So the first time I registered my business was back in 2015. So I'm actually 9 years in business. So it has been a journey for me, but it's a wonderful journey. Okay, sometimes it's wonderful, sometimes you feel like crying, like what? But God to so you just push on and encourage yourself each and every time. When you wake up, like today's a new day. Journey Lisha, you focus on today.
All right. Wonderful. Excellent. All right. So Magadaline,
Yes.
Tell us your brief story.
Mine is pretty brief. I think, I would say I call myself a person who was totally visionless. I was just going through primary and secondary school, just working hard to pass exams.
All right.
Until I found myself in law school, not by plan, but I believe by God's design.
Okay.
Where I eventually went into the legal profession, working in a law firm setting, and eventually in 2019 setting up a startup of my own. Mm-hmm. And it is in the context of legal practice that I got to interact with the realities of our governance and actually administrative structures, because here we are talking about the government offices you get to interact with and get to realize how badly we are doing out there.
Okay.
Yes, and got interested in these matters of governance.
Okay.
Yes.
Wonderful. Yeah, and I think Magadaline brings to on this conversation some interesting experience. Mm-hmm. How long did you study in the UK?
Oh yes, and after working for a while, in the legal profession, I felt I really had a real burden concerning the state of governance and the fact that Kenya is grappling with real corruption.
Yes.
And so I decided to pursue a master's in corruption and governance for 1 year, the whole of 2022 and 2023.
Okay.
Yes. So yes, 1 year.
1 year.
Yeah.
Okay. Wonderful. I think I love this conversation. So I promise Munene that you guys come in here and say really what you want to say. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But before you say that, I want to the one single biggest argument I've had, especially concerning the debate, the mm-hmm. very heated debate right now, mm-hmm. is the big claim that the government is not listening. And the observation has been, even some of the people that have spoken from the church, Bishop Moheria, for example, he mm-hmm. spoke and he said, please, you must listen mm-hmm. to Wananchi. So many other people have spoken and said, the government is not listening, please listen to the people. Mm-hmm. So, and the young people, the Gen Z, the famous Gen Z, although we won't go into the details of defining who is Gen Z and who is not. Mm-hmm. But anyway, let's just say young people mm-hmm. Have been on the streets, mm-hmm. this week. Yeah. And I think the idea, or rather what's come out is that, look, you guys have to hear mm-hmm. this bill, Finance Bill 2024, has to be rejected. Hashtag reject finance bill. And all that, and right now I know it's even the temperatures have got even higher. Yeah. Some people are on a very hot list yeah. of people who voted yes, and yeah. they have to be cancelled yes. and all that. So basically, since you are here, you can say maybe on behalf of all the agitators, mm-hmm. what exactly is going on? What is the issue here? What do you guys want? What do the Gen Z want? Mm-hmm. And how is it that they are not being listened to, okay? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so, any one of you can start. So, mm-hmm. Munene, are you ready? You probably. So let's start with Munene, then we come to Marvin in that order. Okay. Yeah. So what do you guys want? You have about 3 minutes. Each of you. All right. Or two.
All we want, in a nutshell, is good governance. There's nothing outside that we want. And let me start by saying that. We are a very experiential generation, and that means that the exposures and the experiences we go through really play, they have a lot of weight in the actions that we take. So it means, as a generation, yes, we have not experienced good governance in Kenya, but we have seen from experiences, and our experiences come in so many shapes and forms. Others have traveled, others are working online abroad, others are watching movies, others are on TikTok. So our experiences are coming from many different platforms. And so from these experiences, we have seen what good governance looks like. Okay. So in our heads, good governance is, we are very clear, super clear of what we would like our government to do for us as young people. And And then now to come to the aspect of the government not listening to us. Number one, let's start with when you want to listen to someone, the first thing is see their current state without even asking them. You see, these young people, the quality of education is very bad. Healthcare is very bad. Businesses are closing down. So we cannot bring in any new policy or law that will take that to further down. So that is the first aspect of listening. So that didn't happen. So they crossed that. Then they went to the next thing of, now let's bring in new laws. Let's bring in new taxes. Let's bring in new policies, which according to us will really be very punitive. Then from there we complained. It's not us, people who represent us. Like for me, I'm in business. People like the Kenya Association of Manufacturers really spoke for us, the business community. And so many other communities came out to speak. And so you find the government didn't listen after that. So we went on social media. The government didn't listen. So now we're in the
streets.
We're in the streets, hoping that the government will listen.
Okay,
Yeah.
fine. I'll hold you there. All right, so Marvin, what's your side of the story? Is the government listening? And actually, what do you want to say? So hold that mic to you. Yeah, so I think it's good.
Actually, this is kind of, we are from a generation where you have seen the old, let me say, the analog coming to digital. You have seen transformation in our country, in Kenya.
Okay.
So you have seen the internet coming since the Moi Kibaki era, everything. You have seen how everything has been. So it reaches a time where everything in Kenya has changed except the government. You see, they still want to rule it like the old system, regime ya Moi and everything. But yet you forget that generation keeps coming and going, and that's now the problem, because you see, we're exposed in the internet, in so many forms of media, and now people need accountability, which it is not there, because you see, you just borrow loans and everything, but you don't want to tell us how much you have borrowed, so that we can know where to start. Like, we have X amount of money you have borrowed, so this is how you're planning. It will be easier for you to tell people. Now we can plan ourselves, maybe come up with an M-Pesa Changaring team stuff. So it's good to you tell us how the situation, but it is bad. Right. Then now we'll understand, like, well, we don't have money. So how do we go from there? Tell us how you want, if you want us to raise capital, like putting on taxes, new taxes, let us see how you have used the previous amount of money that you had raised last year. And then there's another thing which is kind of bothering me, corruption. Nothing is happening. You just see someone takes money, they are released. Once a new government comes, they're released on free, or just given like a stipend, like 10% unatoa. Like just juicy to tuliona. We just saw it the other day. So that's what I'm saying. So we need accountability. We also need transparency. That's what you need. We need people to take up roles. We need people to be held accountable for such things. If something happens, just step down. There's no need of going back to your people, say, wananyonea, nothing like that.
Okay.
Be a man, stand up, man.
Okay. And he's absolutely right,
Yeah.
because, I mean, we are earlier generation. I think we got used to, somebody gets away with it. We watch the whole drama play out in court, and we almost know the end from the beginning. And it happens as we had predicted.
Yes.
After the LEDs, they just go and do a press conference. My community, we are being targeted and stuff like that. So you guys are sick and tired of that.
Yes,
Absolutely.
and we before Magadaline, we have a joke that when you see someone at the EACC, the next election they'll be the governor.
Okay, all right. That's hot. They are listening. They have to listen to this show. They have to listen. So, Magdalene,
Yes.
what's your part of the story?
Yeah, I mean, when you see young people up in the streets, of course that speaks volumes, because it's clear indication that those people are frustrated and they don't feel listened to. And from where I stand, I believe what the problem is that our generation is feeling that office holders, particularly, whether it's in parliament or in the executive, office holders are feeling entitled. And by entitlement, in the sense of that they go into these offices generally to serve their own purposes. If we think of a proper democratic governance structure, a member of parliament, because those have been the specific targets of late, the member of parliament does not go there to serve the president. He does not go there to serve the members of the executive. They go there to serve the people that they represent, because we are a representative democracy. And so when you see the young people up in the streets, then it is because the members of parliament who are supposed to be listening to them and actually representing their grievances are not listening. And there's a lot to unpack there, because it means that they have lost trust. We have lost trust in the ability of these representatives to actually represent interests. And that's why this frustration is expressed in protests.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So, of course, I will jump in, and
Yes.
I might support the parents, the older generation.
Yes.
They have done. We have done very poorly. Maybe the pushback, if I were to do it, on behalf of whoever, everyone else who thinks maybe the young people are perhaps misunderstanding issues, is the whole idea of, yes, you have genuine grievances, but if those grievances are not properly articulated and laid out down, perhaps there is a problem in insisting that the finance bill must be rejected. All right, reject finance bill 2024, because I don't know whether it is clear that somehow a finance bill has to be set in place, else the legal consequences are major, including dissolution of parliament and stuff like that. So, because the government cannot spend without that bill going through. That's the kind of law, and you studied law, so perhaps you can affirm or confirm that. So it's actually very serious. So somehow we either have a finance bill of one sort or another. I'm just raising this up. Maybe I'm wrong. So are we going to? Should the finance bill be rejected in totality, or is there debate at all from the Gen Z, from the young people? Is this go or no go? Binary. Yes or no. Finished. Okay. And those who say no, they are yes, they are the enemies, and those who say no, they are our friends. Everybody else, if you say yes, you're cancelled, you're done, finished, and we'll send protesters to your house.
So let me start. Let me start with an analogy.
Yes.
Right now we are enjoying a cup of water.
Right.
So if right now I suggested and presented poison in that cup.
Right.
I put it there, and then I take it away. What perception would you have of me? I suggested, presented, and then after you had your doubts, I took it away. So it means that the change, for me, my opinion, the change is as bad as the suggestion.
Okay.
So
I
in that case,
yes,
we reject in totality.
Okay.
Yes.
Because of presenting, then after protest,
suggesting and presenting, and then after protest,
yes,
you take away a few.
Bread. We want to tax bread 16%.
Yeah.
You've cried for, so we take that out.
Yes.
Are you happy? What's the problem? It's a proposal stage, by the way. It's not been quite voted yet.
Yes.
Concluded.
Right.
So yeah, I hear you.
And to let me hit
Yes.
let me hit the nail on the head. And I was watching the chair of the finance committee saying the same thing you've just said, that if they don't pass the bill by 31st, these are the legal implications.
Yes.
If that would happen, it would be a very big win for us, where everyone goes home.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. There you go.
Yeah.
You've had it for yourself. You either reject the bill or the house comes down. Okay. So Marvin, are you taking a hardline position as like Mr. Munene?
You see,
Is there a chance for a midway between?
we are now in the second stage
Yeah.
of the finance bill, of which we don't have enough numbers to bring it down.
All right.
So what they'll do, it will just go directly.
Okay.
But there's still hope. Either they just agree unanimously, like, no, you need to do this, the right thing. We need to listen to the people.
Okay.
Because one of the hurting thing, we just do a public participation, yet we come, we talk, we air it out, then nothing happens. So
Okay.
it's like systematic for them. It has to happen. So once you guys, like, they participated, they sign it, then they keep it aside.
Okay. So I'm sorry to jump in.
Yeah.
So when you say nothing happens, the public participation window is I think 2 months.
Yeah.
All right. Now, and we can talk about the mechanics of public participation and why it has to be done. I think now it is embedded in our law.
Yeah.
Currently,
Yeah.
every bill has to be subjected to public participation.
Yes. Mhm.
Including Election Act, whatever
Anything,
act,
yeah.
right?
Yes.
So the actual public participation is a requirement of the law.
Yes.
So are you actually saying that the public participation really in of itself as a process has no material outcome? I mean, you don't expect anything to change, or it's a waste of time and it's like nothing will happen, or public participation means every single thing all the people raising issues, everything raised must be done exactly what the public has suggested. Is that the case?
How I look at it is like they are just doing it for a PR, because it is written. You have to have a public participation, because we have had a couple of them, but
Okay.
they just let it slide. We don't see any changes. So this one, once we had it, we saw a couple of people coming up, different groups bringing up suggestions, but they just let it slide until when it reached a certain point, when before the material day on Tuesday,
Yes.
is when they had their own meeting, until they were pushed by the let me say people in quotes,
Yeah.
to change, because they knew their life, their votes are in danger.
Okay.
If you are to have an election right now,
Yeah.
80% of the parliament will not be there. The members
Okay. We are about to go to a break, but and I
Yes.
want to hear from
Yes.
Magadaline.
Okay.
Yeah. So yes.
Yeah, so the Finance Act is a tool by the government for raising revenue to fund the various departments and activities. And so, of course, it seeks to do various things. And, speaking to your question as to whether the valid argument from us as young people should be to reject or amend, I believe I take a slightly different view from my friends here, in the sense that having read through it, I could see certain positive, proposed amendments that I believe would have served the young people as well as the older people. Mm-hmm. And as such, if it were up to me as an activist or an advocate for good governance, I would have been advocating for amendment
Okay.
of, yes, however, I understand where the generation is coming from. Remember our first question.
So I'm going to cut you short,
Okay.
because I want us to go to a break.
Okay.
When we come back, we'll come back to you. All right?
Very well.
So you can revisit that subject. All right, ladies and gentlemen, as you can tell, this is an amazing discussion. I really want to let the young people say what they must say. Please listen very carefully, because this is a very serious conversation, and I'm sure you want to hear them out. We want to hear these guys. We want to know exactly what's going on. So we take a short break, and then we'll come back to this conversation. Don't go away. Keep it elevate. We'll also be looking at your suggestions, your comments later on, please. All right, so follow the conversation. Let's take a short break.
The church is back at Uhuru Park. The chairman of the Standing Strong Ministers Conference, Apostle Othniel Mwabili, and the conference convener, Apostle David Juma, together with the Executive Planning Committee, invites all church leaders, students leaders, marketplace and corporate leaders to the 2024 Kenya edition of the Standing Strong Ministers Conference, taking place from Tuesday 9th to Friday 12th July 2024 at Uhuru Park Gardens, Nairobi, with leadership sessions running from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. daily and open sessions from 5:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. daily. The theme for this year's conference is Strengthening Your Brethren, drawn from Luke 22 verse 32. Ministering will be guest ministers Bishop Thomas Muthe from Kenya.
Your weakness, that's no reason to give up. There is a God who begins from the void.
Bishop Stanley Molili from Kenya.
A transformational church must grow smaller as it grows bigger.
Apostle Yemi Adefarasin from Nigeria.
God is looking for people that are his representatives who understand their redemptive destiny and purpose.
And Bishop Joseph Matera from USA.
You can bring heaven, you can manifest glory wherever you are.
And the host, Apostle David Juma and Pastor Sunde Juma.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are moving from the one powerful anointed minister to the corporate body.
The church was birthed by the Holy Ghost, and the works of God can only be done by the Holy Ghost.
Find registration forms on our social media platforms. For more information, kindly call 0722 669651. The 2024 Kenya edition of the Standing Strong Ministers Conference. Don't miss out on this great opportunity of strengthening for your ministry work ahead. See you there. This conference is organized by various churches and is open to the whole body of Christ.
Welcome back. This is the GG report, and we are talking about the Gen Z revolution, or if it is actually a revolution, and the battle for good governance. And I'm having with me on the set Mr. Munene Githira, who is a businessman. He's a governance leader, and Mr. Marvin Thuo here. He's a business executive, and very much a business analyst. And with me also is Magadaline Mwangi, who is a lawyer, advocate of the High Court of Kenya, and also found a very interesting organization called Anti-Corruption Movement, the Titus 212 movement. And we are having this conversation. We're talking about this whole revolution, if at all it is one, and there is a lot of debate going on. Before we went to the break, Magadaline was telling us about what she actually thinks is the debate exactly, and whether this bill, the Finance Bill 2024, should be rejected in total, or if there is a chance for amendment. I think the Gen Z, from what we're seeing on social media, I think their position is basically, you reject everything, you didn't listen to us, so we are unhappy, we are upset. And if we are upset, No, it's a binary thing. In, out. Nothing more, nothing in between. But Magadaline, you actually kind of introduced some twist by saying, I think there is a chance for amendment. I guess it's the lawyer in you, maybe that is kicking in.
Right.
So yes, you know, we went to the break before you finished your thoughts on that. So
and
please.
I was just saying that I believe there are certain proposed amendments in the bill that was supposed or that are supposed to benefit Kenyans.
Okay.
I appreciate where the young people, and I believe lots of older people who are not out there in the streets demonstrating, there's lots of very valid grievances.
Okay.
In the respect that there will be increased tax burden in what we call the common mwananchi, and nonetheless there are certain provisions that would be of benefit. For instance, their taxes are supposed to be removed on motorcycles. That would serve such a huge population in Kenya. Those who do border business, I would believe that would come with reduced price on motorcycles. There are certain other allowables that are being brought into place, allowable deductions when you're doing your taxes, which again would be of benefit, and those are just two examples. Nonetheless, I was saying I understand why there is that proposal to reject the bill in totality, and it is because of what we were speaking about earlier and what Marvin here and Munene have alluded to. There's a state of total lack of confidence and trust in the people we are asking. Go amend, don't reject, go amend. And so public trust is such an important part of the governance process, and if there's no trust, it leads to unreasonability, the sort of unreasonability that we are seeing in the argument to reject the bill in totality.
So I'm going to ask you a very, very honest question. Gen Z. Is it that in your environment, the way you see the world, is it sort of a binary way? So for example, if you have an argument with your mother, so it's either she's wrong and you're right, or you're right, or that kind of thing. So for young people, everything is black and white and nothing in between. So I don't know whether that's really a correct kind of intuition, because looks like the message coming out clearly, I mean, to the best of my knowledge, is these people are not listening to us. We are unhappy, we are hurt. These taxes are killing us. And then of course you can add all the evil things that are coming along with the tax. Is that the worldview? Is it that you guys don't have a space for dialogue, and if you are having a dialogue with an adult, those members of parliament are completely different generation, past the great 95%, right? A few near millennials, maybe the millennials, maybe Gen X are there, obviously. So kind of disconnected generations. Is that where the conversation is breaking down?
For me, no. And start by saying I have employed 4 people. 2 of them are Gen Zs, and even in meetings, the way they want to bring out their ideas, the way they want to behave is in a certain particular way. So you find that Gen Zs, they mobilize in number 1, community, number 2, vibes, and then number 3, values that speak to their future. So our Gen Zs have seen, and I think I'm part of that group.
You're in the margin.
I'm in the margin. We have seen that, number 1, we are not part of that community, and our community has certain value systems. Number 2, the vibe of the leaders is not the vibe that we would want as a generation. You find that leaders are they are using our taxes to fund their lifestyles.
Yeah. Well,
so that
jet to the US obviously is a good example.
That vibe is not going down well with us.
Absolutely.
Yes, and then finally, the most important thing, the values that speak to our future are very slim.
Yes.
We are looking at in the next 5 years, when my daughter is in kindergarten, how will the education system be? In the next 5 years, when my mom is growing older and she needs quality health care, where will we go? How will we afford that? We are looking at infrastructure. We are looking at how power transitions, and so on. So that is the angle that Gen Zs have come with. And then our boldness. God has given us the grace to change this nation. And I have studied generations, and I have seen that different generations were given different kind of boldness. So for us, our boldness is to transform this country.
Okay,
yes.
Good. I like that. So I'm probably going to take a slightly different angle for you, Marvin. Occupy Parliament. That's a big issue. Because we know that I think there have been 1 or 2 parliaments burned down, not long ago. So should people not be afraid if you guys, the Gen Z, the guys who were on the street yesterday, if they were clear that Occupy Parliament, I don't think it was the mainstream thing. So maybe perhaps I need to be clear. I'm not too sure that was the main theme of the whole thing. But there was that element, so many things came out anyway, out of the whole protest, Occupy Parliament, reject the bill and all that. So is it all or nothing, and is there a place for, destroying some stuff, institutions, bringing them down or something like that? And speak to that, because I think that's where the misunderstanding is coming in.
So what I can really say is, it's not you're burning down Parliament or anything. Mm-hmm. Actually, it's one of the most peaceful demonstration you have had in this country.
Yes.
Because nobody's throwing stones, nobody's robbing any, unless there are few elements, like yesterday night, just when the guns and everything. But if the police were just to stand aside, see people just walking around in town, that will be good. We don't even want so many things. Just let people just air themselves. You see, because you don't have a platform of airing ourselves. Now we went from social media and everything, but nothing happened. So now we need to go to the street. Maybe they will hear us more. That's why we need to do it. And so you cannot go say occupy White House, that's too much. Or State House, that's too much. But now we see that's where the lawmakers are, and so they need to hear us more. Maybe when you walk the street, they will hear us more. So then doing it on and X and everything. So that's what people did. So when you walk the street, maybe they will hear you these guys have something to say.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's what I'm thinking. But what I can really say is it's a generation which, you see, for our fathers and our parents, they went through something and they kept quiet. So they used to aid out to their children. The government this, the government that. So we've been growing up, the government has always been doing this thing to us. But they never used to speak out sana. But now they're no.
You're not taking enough. This.
Yeah, you have had ever since you were a child. You're always going hearing these things. Not sasa imefika mwisho. Now I'm tired. Because nothing seems to change since my grandmother, my mother. No, you cannot sing the same song for 100 of years.
Okay.
You need to stand up.
Yeah. So those of you who are
can I add
in the government, I'll come back to you. Just to let them know. This generation is saying enough is enough. So they saw their parents terrorists, bad governance, corruption, learning to live with problems, and now they are saying no, it's not going to be status quo. So I think you have a point. I mean, it's a real big point. I know he wants to jump in, but we need to hear Magadaline, unless you want to surrender your minute. Yeah, so Munene, I want to jump in.
I want to jump in on,
go
just to add on what Marvin is saying. what we want to bring down with Occupy Parliament is the ideology, the culture, and the systems of corruption, lawlessness, and leadership arrogance. That is what we are bringing down.
Okay.
Not buildings, not shops, not physical things.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Sounds like some verse from the Bible, you know. Casting down principalities. Yeah, casting down the principalities. So you guys, you know, principalities and powers, you got to calm down. The Gen Z have said they are not going to tolerate you. Yeah, so Magadaline, are you also in the game of casting down principalities and powers and rulers?
Yes, but through ideas.
Okay.
Yes, and that is what we are communicating.
Yes.
That we are not going to tolerate these sort of, I like what the word he used, arrogance.
Okay.
That sense of entitlement that is coming out
All right.
of our parliamentarians.
Mm-hmm.
And the self-serving, budgetary allocations and, laws. So that is really the message that is going out. And also, like he said, if we pulled back the police, there's no better way to observe what the real intentions are than pulling back the police to see where that goes.
Yeah. Well, I saw a letter over the, yesterday, I think early in the morning, I saw a letter by the IG, Inspector General, actually, that he had given permission for the protest, or rather, well, the public demonstrations from 12 to 5 p.m. And of course, it had serious disclaimers, what you must not do. Is there a sense maybe some other people infiltrated the movement in the course of their actions yesterday, do you think? So that when we finish off with that, so just comment on that.
You see, what I can say, you can never lack a bad potato somewhere.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So some people may take advantage. But if you look in the morning, from around, was it at noon till around 5? Actually, it was just peaceful. But once you start agitating people, it's now when things get worse. Because like, tear gas. Then goes the smell of tear gas. Different flavors, such kind of things. So people are just happy to air their views.
Okay.
But you can't lack 1 to 2, 3 people who messed around somewhere. Yeah.
Okay, yes. Okay. All right. There you are. So let's jump on to. I want to look at some of the comments that are coming in here. Social media is very active. Let me sample some of the comments. Wilma Mosoti is saying, even in the streets, the government is not listening. That's what they are saying. Karen Mwehaki is saying, following the conversation. Ian Masharia, as Gen Z still out in the streets of Nairobi, but you're not heard. I think people think that you guys are not being heard yet. Paris Wamboy says, interesting conversation. And she also adds, over the years, everything has changed except the government. I think that's a very big observation. Everything has changed except the government. They tried e-citizen, so now you can register your business on e-citizen. Are you impressed or not impressed?
That is digitizing a process.
Okay.
That is not changing the government.
Okay.
As a legal practitioner, I can indeed say that that has vastly changed the way we do business. It has, there's a way, we were talking about transparency earlier.
Yes.
What those platforms are doing, they are removing the barriers there were to information, and they are also removing what we call discretion, and discretion is a huge factor in contributing to corruption.
Okay.
And so we have seen some of the changes, the positive changes that indeed do come with e-citizen.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I think just in case, she's a lawyer. Mm-hmm. So now you can actually prosecute a matter right from the comfort of your office.
Yes.
And complete, from start to end. And make sure you put the mic next from start to end. That's a big change. And I think the legal profession have observed that. Mm-hmm. So the government is changing rather slowly, all right? Not to the satisfaction of Gen Z. Let me read a few more comments. The Church of Kenya is part of the problems. Blessed Emily says that. Well, I can answer for them.
Can I make a comment about it? I am one who wants to look at both sides of the coin, yeah?
Yes.
I want to believe that those who are saying the church is a problem have probably a perspective, and some of the major comments that are coming out is that the church has been bought or has been silenced,
yes,
because of the contributions that come in from politicians. Nonetheless, I also want to say that the church is not the pastors. The church is not the clergy. The church is you and I.
Right.
And we are here. We are talking about it.
Okay.
I have seen representatives or religious organizations making their stance concerning this. And I am one who does not advocate for us as members of the church abdicating our role to the leaders of the church, because that is where we completely get things wrong.
Okay.
Because we will blame parliamentarians, and there are how many of them?
290 plus a few more, 350.
Indeed. We will blame...
that is the lower house. The upper house,
Indeed.
Senate, comes to 400, I think 90.
Yes, barely 1,000 people.
Right.
We have the executive and the people therein.
I think it's 450, yes.
So we are talking about 1,000 people in the whole nation, saved, even if they were to go to 10,000,
yeah,
compared to the millions of Kenyans there are, part also of the body of Christ, as we call it, the church.
Yeah.
So we cannot, I am completely against.
Okay.
Against.
Yeah, okay, fine.
So
Occupy church.
Spanner in the works for what Magdalene has shared. And
yes,
I really appreciate those comments. Yes. Very different perspective. But my perspective from the comments is that, what is leadership? Leadership is influence.
Right. Oh yeah, there's that aspect.
Who is in charge of that influence?
It's the church, the bishops, the leaders.
Bishop, the leaders, and so on.
Yeah.
So, let's take, for example, a bishop has influence over 100,000 people. Their voice really, really matters.
Indeed.
Okay, so anyway, I think it's more complicated than that, yeah, because the movement, the Gen Z movement, or shall we call it the revolutionaries, there is now a message going around that this Sunday they want to occupy the church. Now they are done with Parliament, they are coming for us. So do you have anything to be afraid of?
Shall be preaching.
Just good vibes. Just good vibes.
Oh, all right. Yeah. I mean, is the threat real? You know, I need to warn bishops and pastors. You know, they are coming for you this Sunday. So you either close the doors or you just open whichever strategy.
It could be a point of evangelism.
Okay.
Yes.
So Marvin, are we safe?
So here are my thoughts. Actually, I've said something.
Yeah.
Now it's how you handle it matters.
Yeah.
You see, when they come, how do you receive them? With love or with hate?
Okay.
So it matters on how you receive them.
Okay.
So if you bring if you're not welcoming to them, they'll just receive something else. So what you do, just open your gates and wakaribisha in the church. They hear the service, they hear the sermons, then they go. Because you see, everyone in the church is a sinner. It's true. You know. But now you see, you might even now be challenged even on how to change your message. So if you see people just looking at you like, where Maliza, where? So like you need now to let your members learn. So it actually is a wake up. For me, I look at it as a wake up call to the church. Now we need to take things seriously. We need to be sitting down and shelving ourselves or anything. So we stand up and we rise to the occasion. Because here, like you said, see the bishop, the pastors, they have a following, they have influence. Have like a few influence, they have a major influence. So if you don't rise to the occasion, it brings now a problem. Okay. So it's a high time, like also as young believers, you see, we have Christians and we have believers. Those are two different things. So it's high time as young believers, we stand up and rise to the occasion. That's the biggest thing we need to do. Because if we shelve ourselves, we are creating even much problem to the world.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, I think we have addressed that. And church leaders, I think you better keep your doors open. They are coming this Sunday. And by the way, you guys, you left, since you left after COVID, you haven't been back. So we are welcoming you back, after COVID. So that's a good thing. An amendment is a good meeting. This is what Wilma Mosoti is saying. An amendment is a good meeting point. The rejection is out of the arrogance of the executive and the belittlement of the youth. They just want to be heard. Kama hamtatusikia basi kaeni na hiyo kitu. I think that's that's the sentiment of the Gen Z, right? So if you don't hear us, then we are out. We are out. We sabotage.
Yeah.
Okay. I think they have been warned. I know, and so Gabi reality is saying, I know and understand that the percentage of the tax that are removed from the bill is manipulative, and the government is trying to show how they are listening, which is the contrast. So actually, a lot of people are reading mischief, mistrust. Then Esther Rido says, what is the meaning of Gen Z, please? Well, I think we can define that later. Gabi comes back and says, this generation is up to date and can never be manipulated. If the Gen Z won't come up and speak, it's us who are doomed. So it is no and reject. So I think that those are some of the comments coming in on the YouTube side of things. And I guess it's, I think the verdict is, this is total reject. So you've been warned. So I know we have very, very little time remaining. And I really want us to wrap this up. But I think we need to speak to that big question I have at the back of my mind. What exactly is the future of this movement? Where are we headed? Is this like just some kind of organic thing, and does it have the capacity to sustain itself? And what's the future? I know I'm asking all that big question. And given the current law provides that every year there will be the bill. It's the same act, but being amended back and forth. You remove this tax, or you prescribe 3%. Next year, you go back to that same clause and change it to 2.5%. That kind of thing. So we will be back on this battleground. So what exactly are the Gen Z going to do about this process and the future? What's their plan? What's up their sleeves? All right, and then we will be saying this as we wrap up.
Like I started by saying, our plan is good governance. We are not negotiating about that. That is not a negotiation we are having, other than good governance. So we want a leadership that is highly accountable. We want a leadership that is highly respectful to the people who gave them the power and the authority and the mandate to transform our lives. And then do we have the capacity to sustain? Oh yes. And let me quote First Samuel 17:38 hapo. I really love this story in relation to what is happening. David came to the battlefield, akavalishwa nguo za Saul, to fight with. After taking one step, he said, I can't fight with this. Let me fight with what I know best.
Okay.
And how I know best. That is how we will fight. With what we know best and how we know best. And we will sustain it. And then this movement, it will not stop there. We will make sure, things don't go wrong, they start wrong. The current crop of leaders we have, they started wrong, if you check their history, which I won't go into. So what we want is to start right. We want to put an end. Enough is enough. And this starting right is saying that the next crop of leaders will, when we send them to, when we send Marvin to Bunge,
yes,
he will know why he's there.
Okay,
Yes.
so we are running out of time. So I think I'll cut it short. I think you're very, very clear. You have new tools. You're ready. You're not going to use the armor of Saul. You have the David sling, and you're going to pull the trigger.
Yes.
And you're ready for the engagement.
Yes.
Absolutely amazing. Marvin, put that mic very near your mouth.
So these are my thoughts. for me, as I said, it's a wake-up call. So one, we need to gather ourselves. You need to form a political party. That's the one thing. Or you need to know which political party you're going to form or to join. Number two, you also need to do more of civic education. People need to know about their rights. People need to know why you need to vote. Because you cannot just take it plainly and say, we'll move from there. So we need to start right now. So this is the best time you have, so that we can reach the masses. If you're like you're bringing up a new party, now this is when you're like, we know, this person will represent the Western part, this person will represent where and where. So we need to start right now. And the masses need to be taught. The young people need to learn civic education. That's very, very key. So that when it comes to 2027, we have a say and we have the right people to choose. So we'll choose according to accountability, reliability, and even good governance. That's what you're looking for. And trust me, if we all unite, because you see you have like another generation which is coming up. So if we all unite together, trust me, we can form a very good government.
Okay.
Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Marvin. I mean, that's absolutely well said. Well said. Magadaline.
Yes.
Your final thoughts.
Right.
Yeah.
In anti-corruption, and anti-corruption is an aspect of advocating for good governance, is something we call collective action. And what we are seeing out there in the streets, it's us gathering ourselves into a collective. It is argued, and research has proved, that the way to defeat a network is through networks, okay? What we are seeing here in Parliament, it is the executive networking with the legislature so that they can amend laws to make them oppressive to the, to the Mwananchi. Those are networks. Now, what we are doing and what we are proposing and we continue to do is actually find ways to put structures around these networks in such a way that, as they have argued, to ensure that there's civic education. Remember, it is not only Gen Z that are going to be voting as we go into the future. We are going to find way to target the older generations as well. We are going to extend not only the elective positions, we're also going to target the administrative positions, whether we are going to be protesting into, say, Adi House here in Nairobi, which is notorious for corruption, or we are going to be targeting the legislature. So the way forward, as I see it, is the need for collective action and structures that will enable for this movement that we are seeing working efficiently and effectively.
Wonderful. Yeah, my director tells me we are out of time. So it's been an amazing conversation. I really want to thank you guys. I mean, it's limited. Maybe we need to have round 2 or something like that. But I must thank all of you. Three of you, Mr. Munene, for priming up the conversation, and Marvin for showing up and coming in, and Magadaline, thank you so very much. I truly appreciate you guys and appreciate your perspectives. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you very, very much indeed for your comments, for your participation, including Newton Joroge, who is saying it's Holy Spirit that brings revolution. It's by understanding Scripture. Counselor Naomi Ngoge says, big up Gen Z. May God guide you and give you sweet success. I think that's really a very good place to end. May God guide you and give you good success. We wish you guys absolute success, especially if you can kill the monster called corruption in this country. That would definitely translate to success, economic success. I guarantee that. So thank you very much indeed, ladies and gentlemen. Let's come to the end of this show. Thank you. Thank you indeed. Keep it Elevate TV. We'll see you again. Once again, the Gigi Report is your show. Never miss a heartbeat. Remember to subscribe and make sure you're connected every time we go live. You can you can actually engage. God bless you. I've been your host, Godfrey Gichuki, and we'll see you another day. God bless you. Bye for now.